The economic crisis in the year 2008 was deep and prolonged, enough to be known as the Great Depression. The US economy was trying to recover from the last recession, but unfortunately COVID-19 hit the economy hard. Moreover, experts are giving warning that another recession is ahead. Well, we're talking about the recession that will change a generation. From billionaire investors to former Federal Reserve executives, recession forecasts have flooded in since the beginning of 2022. Bank of America states that the good news is that the major shocks to the international economy that have hit this year weren't harmonized, namely the battle in Ukraine, supply chain problems, COVID-19 lockdowns, and the increase in the interest rates from Federal Reserve. The US economy has not seen a golden era of great returns with zero trouble for decades. Hey guys, welcome back to Money Invests, where we discuss everything about money, investment, and personal finance. In this video, I'm going to tell you about the upcoming recession that will change the generation. We will also show you how to avoid losses and make profits during this recession. So make sure to watch this video until the end. Let's start off by smashing that like button, and I'm really going to appreciate all your support. The current situation of the market. Since the year 2010, the overall return of S&P 500 was 357%. Imagine those people who made their investment in that index have seen a return and their portfolios are growing well. Now, a drop in the market is making every panic, including big companies such as JP Morgan. Most investors during the last 12 years did not see a major dip in the stock market, but remember when it occurs, buying in the dip can become a golden opportunity. Since 2010, there have been only 3 drawdowns surpassing 15% in the S&P, and every time they occurred, the market rapidly improved to new all-time highs. So after getting the idea of all these facts, the question becomes legitimate, that why everybody is worried about the upcoming recession, even though it could make us rich. Why are people worried? Well, the answer is that people are worried due to 2 reasons. In the past years, whenever a market crash occurred, the Fed has always been there to give back support to the country. Now, after years of monetary abuse, especially after the first quarter of 2020, back support is gone, at least for now, because the Fed is facing another issue that it has now seen since the early 80s. That is extremely high inflation that has touched the percentage of 8.5%. The Federal Reserve has not established a formal inflation target, but the policymakers generally believe that acceptable inflation is around 2% or a bit below this percentage. Imagine, we are facing an extra inflation rate of 6.5%. The high price of fuel has also put a burden on consumer shoulders. Inflation. So an inflation rate of 8.5% per year means that if your shopping costs you $100 today, it would have cost you only about $91.5 a year ago. If the inflation stays at this percentage, the same basket of shopping will cost you $108.5 in a year's time. The higher inflation is a big problem for consumers and savers, but their earnings are not rising at the same pace. To combat inflation, the Fed increased the interest rates. What do experts say? According to professionals, the era of easy money has gone, and now the markets will have to struggle in order to survive. Further, the markets have lost the back support of the Federal Reserve. This assumption has caused a sell-off of epic proportions in speculative growth stocks. For instance, stocks like Zoom have been decimated from their all-time high price in October 2020. Zoom has now seen a major downfall of 80%. On the other hand, if we look at the S&P 500, you would have a hard time telling how bad it is out there. Plenty of retail favorites are now a fifth of what they were in 2020. Yet the S&P is down merely 14%. Hey guys, I need your help. I spend a lot of hours researching to create these videos, so please do me the favor and subscribe to the channel and drop a like. I would appreciate it. With that out of the way, let me explain the market collapse. So what is happening if there truly is a market collapse occurring? Why does the single most significant index appear to be holding up okay if we are truly going toward recessions? Where is the big drawdown? Back in the year 2008, we have seen a SPY drop by almost 50%. So what is holding up the market today? Well, for many experts, Apple is holding up a market that appears to be in dumps. Its stocks, while falling more than 14% from their peak, are the single entity thwarting an index spiral of classic proportions. So if Apple goes down, the market will automatically go down. The experts have concerns about the legitimacy of Apple's current earnings report. As per the tweet of Meet Kevin, Apple executives were asked a question 3 times about the last earnings report and how the demand from customers is changing. Apple avoided the questions every time it was asked. This gives us strong evidence that how the rest of the market is behaving right now. The recession is a continuous slowdown in the economy. One of the big banks, JP Morgan, is also afraid of the Great Recession. Well, it will surely not happen in a single night. Rather, it's a process of the continuous slowdown in the economy, as we have seen a drop in the economy in the first quarter of 2022. The Fed is planning to raise the interest rates multiple times this and next year, and there are surely some effects of these changes. The dollar index is jumping to a high level. A more valuable currency makes the import less expensive and exports more expensive and less competitive on world markets for American companies. This means a hard time selling goods outside of its boundaries. The high interest rates will continuously hit the financial sector very hard. The mortgage rates rose to more than 5% the prior month, the highest level since November 2018, and home buyers hurried to make purchasing before the cost increased further, according to the survey by Mortgage Banker Association. The risk of stagflation is also surpassing the market. Stagflation is actually considered as slow economic growth and comparatively high unemployment at the same time while rising prices. Michael Farrelly, the executive of JP Morgan, said that Fed is lying to people once again. In the prior meeting, Powell essentially said that he would not even think about raising rates 75 basis points. This was interpreted by some as a failure by the Federal Reserve to control inflation. Farrelly also said that the actions of the Fed seem to be a little bit sclerotic as the prices of dollars and oil are up, and they are expecting that reaction. He further added that they want to squeeze the financial condition and slow down the pace of spending growth in the economy. If the inflation still goes at the same pace, then the Fed will have to make a tough choice, either crash the economy or let the inflation run out of control. How the Fed will combat inflation. Now the question here is, can Feds combat inflation without squashing growth? Atlanta Fed President Raphael Bostic stated that getting the high rates of inflation under control is the top concern for this year. He also added that all the global uncertainty has tempered his confidence that an extremely aggressive rate path is appropriate today. Tulane University economist Gary Hoover said that 2/3 of the U.S. economy is made up of consumer spending. When the consumers have more money, they buy more, and if the manufacturers can't keep up the same pace, demand outpaces the supply and the price goes so high. Therefore, Fed raises the cost of borrowing so we can land softly and the country can then control inflation without facing a recession. If you look back at the period of 94 and 95, the strategy worked. Now the Fed has knocked down this right. Plus, every time before, there has not been a global pandemic and a war in Europe, which makes the Fed's job adjusting supply and demand very hard. In short, the Fed does have to walk a tightrope, but they are walking blindfolded because they don't understand the fact that the environment is changing so fast. The Federal Reserve has hardly been able to engineer a soft landing for the economy or the stock market, and it might have to worry about doing it this time, irrespective of whether it takes its constriction slow or fast. Here's the challenge. Share your thoughts with us in the comment section below. A. In your opinion, how long a recession will last? And B. We are not going to have a recession. I would love to hear from you, and I will see you at the Golden Gate.